Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? So today I'm discussing how to get involved with a spiritual community or a guru. Okay, why is this important? This is very, very important because for those of us, especially those of us Indians or Hindus that live in the West, and if you have this elevated spiritual mindset, it can feel quite isolating and alone sometimes. Okay, so ideally, it could be beneficial to, or you could actually desire to be somewhat involved with a group of people physically on a consistent basis, right? Meet on the weekends or whatever. So that's that, right? And same thing with the guru, right? Like, it's nice to kind of be able to physically meet face to face with someone one-on-one and get advice, right? Rather than doing all these things through the internet. The internet's fine sometimes, especially if you have no choice, but ideally you should have the ability or the option to have this in person. So that's why I'm making this video. Now, there's 3 points that I want you to understand very, very quickly. 1, beggars cannot be choosers. Okay, what this means is that you have to understand that if you have a limited amount of choices, there's nothing you can do with that, about that, right? You have to deal with what you have. Number 2, what was number 2? Oh, number 2 is that if some community or something is not meant to be in your life, it's not going to be in your life, okay? It's just that simple, okay? Sometimes the group just doesn't match energetically with you. It's not in your karma to get in a group right now, whatever, okay? It's just not going to happen. The 3rd is that if something is going to happen, it's going to require some effort on your part possibly to get involved in these groups, right? Sometimes, you know, we can be a little bit shy, or we can be a little bit lazy or things like that. We need to understand that this perfect group is not just going to come to your house and beg you to join them, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, moving forward, I'm going to give you just a quick personal example story on how I met my main guru right now, my first guru. Okay. So growing up, I've always been into this meditation and stuff, right? But obviously no one could really relate to me, especially at as high of a level. I don't mean to say that in an arrogant way, but from the type of consciousness and awareness that I was having, I really didn't find that there was anybody that could relate to me, not even close, okay, throughout high school and things like that. Now, what happened was, right when I kind of started getting into astrology, me and my mom discovered that I was going to enter a very harsh dasha period of some time. So my mom, she knew of this Swamiji that used to come to our main temple, but not as much anymore. And she's like, hey, I think he's a good person to get advice about this. And the advice he gave was to do a puja at his temple, right? So me and my mom went, we did it, and that was that, right? So the puja was fine. He seemed like a really good, down-to-earth dude, really like straightforward, like wasn't really like just really himself, you know, like he wasn't really trying too hard to be like this like spiritual person and things like that. And just a little bit of a disclaimer, so he actually converted his home into a temple, right? Shankar Bhagwan temple. Okay, now what happened was so we left right after the puja that day, and then I had some deeper meditation questions that I just happened to run by my mom one day, and she's like, hey, you know what you can do? You can actually go to him and ask. And I'm like, I didn't know that was an option. So she's like, yeah, he has something every Sunday. And I'm like, oh, I can just go? And she's like, yeah, you can just go. Just let me let him know so he can put you on the attendance list, and then you can go and ask him whatever questions you want. So the program started at like 5 and it ended at like 8:30. Right now he has it in the mornings, but this was in the afternoons before, right, or early evening. So right before I got there, he was like, oh, I asked him these questions because I got there early, right? I didn't really know how it worked. And as soon as I started running these questions by him, his eyes like lit up, and then he got like a big wide grin on his face because he probably doesn't see everyone in there is like almost double my age, or more than double my age. So I guess he was very nice to see that a person like young like me walked in there with these kind of questions. And then he's like, just save your questions. Let's talk about it after the program and after dinner. So we had the program and dinner. Afterwards, I had all these kinds of questions I asked him. And that was that. And from that day forward, we had an understanding that I can go to him for advice, and that he would maybe sometimes give me advice when I come. So I just kind of started going on the major days. Like sometimes he would have like Shivratri all night puja, or like Gayatri Mantra 1000 times chanting all morning, or something like that. So I would go. And then slowly throughout time, I started going more and more frequently, just as I became older and as I started kind of coming back to this area more, finishing up school and things like that. And then he also he was getting older, so he can't like host these kind of big things that much. So I started going just more on a frequent basis, right? But I'm giving you guys my own personal example here, just so you guys can see how this kind of unfolded, right? It was kind of almost like, I'm not gonna say like meant to be, because it was a little bit cheesy, but there's that. There's also like a couple other groups. I'm not like, I already see that I spent like 3 or 4 minutes on this personal story. I don't want to give too much on more personal stories, but there's a couple other groups here and there that I've kind of came across with. It's not like my main go-to like with Swamiji, but yeah, it's kind of, you're kind of just going to come across these people, right? And it's up to you on, like I said, how frequently this happens. It's going to be based off of your karma, okay? If it's just not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Maybe you just got to search for it online, things like that. And even sometimes online platforms, might not work, right? It's just, sometimes it's just not meant to be. You're just meant to be isolated and learn this, right? It is a possibility, right? But if it is kind of presenting itself to you, like I said, don't be a little, like, I could easily be choosy, right? I could easily say, oh my God, there's no one my age there. It's not fun. Yeah, and they're like, I'm Gujarati, right? And they're all South Indian. So they're not speaking Gujarati or Hindi too much. So sometimes they're all speaking and I can't understand them. And they're all, when they're speaking English, it's like, it's not really like the kind of conversation I would have with someone my age, even someone spiritual or non-spiritual. So I could easily make that excuse, right? And now he has it at like 8 in the morning, right? So that means I gotta always wake up and stuff like that, right? So like I said, beggars can't be choosers, right? So I understand that this is what was gifted to me, and I just got to make this work, right? There's a couple other groups, same thing. It's not perfect, right? I've never had any group where it's very high elevated spiritual people in their 20s, like, you know, in this South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area, right? It's just, I know it's not going to happen, right? But just whatever comes across your way, don't try to get everything in one, right? And this applies to anything, right? Family, partners, whatever, right? Don't try to get everything in one thing, right? Now, you only have one set of parents and one spouse, ideally, so just, that's like an asterisk there, right? Obviously, don't try to search for multiple spouses and things like that. That's not what I meant. But don't expect perfection out of anything, right? So this includes spiritual groups and gurus, right? Whatever comes in, if it kind of feels right, it sits right, karmically, spiritually, whatever, just let it go, right? And then also, you need to understand that sometimes it's not meant to be. And sometimes if it is meant to be, or to even find these things in the first place, you're gonna have to put yourself out there, okay? There's no shortcut to this. You're gonna have to mingle a little bit. And I hate mingling, right? I hate networking, all this kind of stuff, right? I think it's all just, it's not my cup of tea. Let's just put it to you like that. But if it does present itself, like for example, I went to, like I met this one group, the Krishna Consciousness group, last year, and my brother was doing some Diwali performance, and I saw they had a stand, right? So I went and I talked to them, right? I didn't even know that they had like a little group that they were meeting up with weekly, but I actually just went just to see their copies of the Gita that they had there. But something deep down kind of told me, hey, maybe they might have a little group local and to go, right? But I could have just been like, I don't feel like going. I just want to not do that and not get out of my comfort zone. Not that it was like that much out of my comfort zone ideally, but it could be out of your comfort zone for certain people. But you need to just take the extra step sometimes if this is something where you're really looking for, okay? So that's that. This video is getting to 10 minutes, so I'm just gonna leave it as that. If you have any questions or comments, as usual, you can let me know as always. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all so very, very much for watching.